Hey, what's up, guys? How's it going? It's Dakanoth here, and today we have got some KvK garrison trapping, and I did a little bit of soloing and a lot of just about everything. So, one guy in particular that I ended up trapping was Iceman. Now, again, to give you kind of an idea of some of the players that I'm messing with here, I've got guilds like YLR, M47, Oni. There's like a bunch of different guilds that I ended up going up against. Most of them are anywhere from like 20 billion to 40 billion might, but they're not super big by any means. But at the same time, they're not small. As far as targets go, I went ahead and I kind of waited on the marches. I wanted to make sure I get his later. Now, again, as you can see, I don't have my garrison march going. So in case you guys are wondering, like how to garrison trap is you actually have to send the garrison first. Okay, so therefore, you have to wait until every march after that garrison, because otherwise it won't actually get all of those troops. So you can see those first couple marches I'm not going to be able to grab. So now I'm having to wait. So like that one march you see right after the fact, you see how under the row, now I can trap that. Like every march after is a given, right? I can take it now. A lot of the time in theory, yeah, you should probably do it right away, but I find that a lot of the time people are looking for that. So I wait until they get a little too carried away and they don't start paying attention and they just start rushing. And so like this, I just went ahead and go straight for the leader. And just like that, I was able to get it without really too much trouble. Now, with every hit and everything, I will try to show you guys some of the reports. So like this guy in particular, I mean, oh my goodness, ever since I got the combination between those two familiars, where one drops 40% infantry HP, and then the other, if my morale drops like a certain amount, then it will kick on another 100% cav attack for Goblin, which I think is really common. Like the combination of that is really, really deadly for infantry. Like I've seen a noticeable difference in that, it's like now I barely notice a drop in my troop count, which just means that now if I want to take like multiple hits at a time and they're all infantry, I don't sweat it, because even if I run into cav on cav, it's gonna do just fine. Now like here I went up against another guild called DLM. Now DLM, I mean, just like every other, like I'm always trying to look for the biggest hits. How many people can I get to smack me at the same time and just knock them all out? Now, of course, my strategy here is not like that. Like, it's not even that confusing, really. I'm just going around with a main, like this little alternate account with a couple 100 million on it, and I'm just scouting. Like, that's really all I'm doing. You would not think people would be this gullible, but they are. Now, of course, at first, they think, the most obvious thing is probably sending cavalry. So they send range, because they want to give themselves some security. They're not entirely, completely, they haven't lost all their marbles, like they've got a solid plan here. The thing is, though, and this is why I garrison trap this way, is that they don't actually see my garrison coming. So they just assume that it's some small little dude just happens to have a lot of resources. And they don't really put a lot of thought into it. They get comfortable. And that's kind of the idea behind this kind of trapping is, and this is why I recommend this really for anybody. Like, whether you're like just starting out or if you're like on the progress. I see so many people nowadays that are like, I want to be a rally trap, or I want to do this or that. And it's like, guys, come on. If you want to get the kills and you want to get those really super high points in KvK, I honestly feel like, as long as you've got enough troops that you could defend yourself or hide it, for that matter, then really all a person needs is a 375k stack of tier 4 cavalry. And you can do so much damage so long as you've got an alternate account with enough resources on it. Like, it's ridiculous how many kills you can actually grab this way. But even still, I know it's not for everybody, but still, I just can't help but advocate for this, because it's, compared to rally trapping and solo trapping, it's so much cheaper, in my opinion. Like, it's ridiculously cheaper. It's easier, and frankly, almost anybody can do it. You just have to be mindful of a couple of things, which is to say, like, if you're taking multiple marches like I am, okay, the one thing you have to always look out for is for a range march, because the moment you get a range march in there, that is it. That is done. Zipperoni. You cannot do no more. You are potentially going to get capped doing it. And this is why some people, like, really don't like doing garrison trapping for that reason, is because all it takes is that one mess up, and then all of a sudden everything falls flat on its face, and you lose your leader, and you're pretty much done. But in my opinion, if you're like, if you're playing it careful, you're not going to run into that problem a lot of the time. And the benefit of that is that chances are you're never going to take any reds. Because with garrisons, I've yet to take any reds. I don't know why, but I've very rarely ever taken a red, even when I'm going on, the odds are really, really high that I'm going to lose. Like, I've never taken reds for it. So long as, you've got enough infirm space, you really never should have to worry about that. Now, as you can see here, you got Hunk building up. You got the SC Skype. The attacks are starting to roll up, right? At this point, I've got my garrison out, and I'm just waiting. I'm waiting to build up as many attacks as I can. The one thing is, though, is I was late for these. So what I start to do is I actually start speeding them up pretty soon. And you're going to see that this is something that cost me in the end. I actually ended up using quite a bit of speeds in order to get to this, but I wanted to make sure I get all 3 marches, so I went ahead and sped up my marches as fast as I could, and basically I just went for it because I knew that they weren't going to pay attention, or if they did, they were certainly not going to see it, and then I randomed, just like that, randomed right away, didn't have any problems. Obviously, as you can tell, I'm speeding these up as fast as I can. So to give you an idea, I'm using a lot of 50% boosts and 75% boosts. Now, I would say I regret doing that now, but, you're going to see why. There's a leader and 100,000 dead. There's another 77,000. These are all tier 4 hits, so, 80k, 100k. There's another 100k. It's ridiculous. Now, later in the video, I actually take a garrison rally, which is the very first garrison rally I've ever taken, for that matter. I'll show you here in a bit what that looks like. But again, as you can tell, I'm speeding these things up as fast as I can, but I'll slow this down a little bit, just so you can see it. Because again, I do this in a fraction of a second. I barely give myself enough time to random. And again, the main thing is that you're trying to take as many hits as you can. So here I just garrisoned, and then I thought I'd take a couple hits if I could, and then there you can see that guy was starting to pull, and as soon as I seen they were pulling, I was like, okay, that's it, time to random, time to give nobody any second chances, and I just went ahead and took it, and just like that, I grabbed as many as I could, and again, not very many as I was hoping for, but still 120,000 dead there. Another 56,000, which was tier 3, and so it's not as expensive, but 80,000 dead there, and another 175,000 dead right there. And again, just to show you, it's tier 4, guys. But now at this point, I'm at 64 million points in my solo war, and I'm going for it. I really don't exactly know what I'm going with. So every once in a while, I'll swap my names out. So now I went from One Piece Revenge to Serious Greed. Now, I'm going to change the name out a couple of times in this video, but eventually somebody got this idea that they should get, they should familiar attack me. I'm like, I don't think so. I might have your leader, but that does not justify sending familiar attacks on me. I don't think so. So I thought, well, I can do that too, So I went ahead and I actually, basically, I just waited for these 2 hits to come through, and I went down. I seen which guy was sending it last, and I was like, okay, I'm going to send it too. How about that? So there's another familiar attack, because, again, I don't know, at some point you kind of have to feel like, hey, if you can do it, so can I. Not a big deal. I ain't going to sweat it. There's barely any kills there, for either party. As you can see, it's 35 to 5,500 on the lowest tier, okay? So at the very most, okay, I'm not going to lose, but a little bit of tier 2? Not going to care. Not a big deal. But even still, the main thing with any type of like familiar ability for that matter is some familiar abilities, as you'll see later in the video, are pretty handy. Like one in particular was I actually had somebody get their leader escaped because they happened to just upgrade Helldrader's ability of leader escape all the way, and it worked exactly like your like the bunny would if Huey Hop was activated. So it does come in handy to upgrade those familiars every now and then, but again, so every hit, as you can tell, I'm swapping over to cavalry, and I'm putting 324,000 in, and then the rest is tier 3. I put 4 on 4, and I'm wearing maximum gear. And here I'm going to hit one guy in one single hit while I swap over range phalanx real quick to get that 4-troop combination. And just like that, in one hit, I got his leader and killed 63,000. I mean, pretty tiny guy, but obviously, the truth of the matter is regardless of who it is that I'm hitting, like, if they're weak enough, I can one-hit these guys. Like, to give you an idea of where I'm at in the game, I point this out because I know a lot of people at the very bottom of the bottom, if you're just starting out or if you're like mid-tier, yeah, you're probably looking at what I'm doing and going, well, that's just completely unrealistic. And you're right, like, it's not going to come easy to, like, send a full calf march and eat a bunch of F marches right away. But what I'm saying is that the long-term game on this is way, way better than rally trapping, and it's a lot cheaper. Like, there I took 26,000 tier 3 reds, but that's not so bad. I ended up finding this guy later on, and I got, all of his resources. He had, like, close to 100 mil across. But the main thing is, right, is that if you're going to go and do garrison traffic and stuff like that, the main thing is that you want to eventually build up your cav stats. Like, you just build one set of gear. Cav. It's not simple. It's not complicated, which I think is what makes it so easy. But, like, I frankly think a lot of other people will find that, or at least agree with me to some extent. But, I don't know. And I could also see people asking me to hit the like button, but it would be super nice if you guys would hit the like button for me. I really appreciate it. It would help with the algorithm. But the main thing is, all right, is that whenever I go around hitting people and soloing them out, I always go back to Garrison eventually. Because for me, Garrison is just simple. It's not complicated. Obviously, yes, guys, I can take rallies. I can rally trap if I can, but obviously not everybody's going to go ahead and try to eat 764 million might in rallies. Like, if they are, they're going to send like 7 or 8 of them at a time, and even still, they regret it a lot of the time after the fact. Because of the fact that I'm just that big. Like, there's only a few guilds I've ever met that have ever actually done anything that crazy. But again, as you can see, like, there's another 100,000. But that's all tier 3, right? It's not like a lot of these hits, like here, I just went ahead and he sent another march to try and cap. Like, he was going for the cap there. So I just went ahead and I sped up my marches. I poured it in and I just sent her. He could have, at any point, he could have pulled, and he just, I guess he wasn't paying attention. But either way, I just pulled it, boom, rammed. I got out of there so quick that, yeah, I guess he just wasn't paying attention. Either way, I got the lead. So yeah, it works out in the end. But again, it's racking up those kills and stuff and building it up. As you can tell, he doesn't send very much. Like, this guy's not very big. So, like, for him to be sending that, I mean, I don't care who I hit. It can be super small, it can be really big. I've met everybody from 100 million might in this KvK to like a couple billion might, and you'll see why in a few minutes. But, like, this particular guild, I don't know. I feel kind of bad for this guy because I found him again and I killed another 367,000. But he had all tier 1, so I mean, he really didn't have any business to be sitting there in the first place. So there went all those tier 1s. Eventually, I did find like this little, what looked kind of like a bot hive to me at first. But we went ahead and I kind of came through and I just went ahead and scattered a bunch of them. I mean, these guys are just super, super, super tiny. But they had like a bunch of troops sitting out. So like there's another 130k that I got, which was really not even that difficult, because this is just tier 3. But I don't know. I see a lot of this kind of stuff. You got to make sure you shelter. If you're starting out in the game, you have to shelter religiously, especially during KvK. If you don't shield or you don't shelter religiously in KvK, then you're gonna lose some stuff. And so I ended up getting a couple leaders. so that I could just fill my prison up a little bit more. At this point, I'm racking up some fairly decent amount of leaders, but I'm still going for it. I'm still going for that 100 million 100 million solo point war. And again, it's kind of fun because eventually I just started soloing a fort. I got bored and I was just like, yeah, there's a fort here, and so I just saw it and I was like, okay, they don't like put anything but like 4 or so troops in here, so again, it's not like we're sending like full 375k stacks or anything. But for a short while, one princess was the ruler of Comet Fort and Kingdom 200 for just a short while. And at this point, I'm at 77 million points. And again, this is the rally that I was talking about. I didn't catch it. I was unfortunately way out of my league there, but like I basically took a garrisoned rally on that account. Now, again, I point that out. If you want to go back and look at it, you can, but I'll show it to you one more time. It's 186,000 dead. 650k was sent. Okay, and even still, all right, with what I had on me, I sent range, and I countered a cav march, basically using just range. And as you can tell, even though he sent a lot of cavalry, that does not change the fact that range is always going to be cavalry. And so, just to give you an idea of what that looked like, because again, like, how does this look? I've only got one familiar in here. Otherwise, I'm just wearing my range stats gear, and you can see I'm not really bothered by it a whole lot. Like, obviously, I made use of my 4 troop manipulation to kind of give myself some time, because again, that's the main thing, is you want your range in the back line if you can get them in the back line. That just gives you more bonuses and stuff. And so, like, here you can see that the squads are going to drop pretty fast. And it just does a ridiculous amount of damage to somebody that sent a full cav march. Even though it was 650k, it's just barely enough to actually do anything against this kind of garrison. So that's the first garrisoned rally that I've ever taken. But of course, that's, I think, the kind of the benefit of, right, if you're going to go ahead and take a garrison rally, you kind of have to know what you're up against, but, you never know. So, like, here I eventually met a guy named the Grinch. So, the Grinch was kind of interesting because what the Grinch was doing is he eventually, he picked up on the fact that, hey, this is a big account with a bunch of resources on it, but he got smart with me, which kind of irritated me at first, because at first he was real gullible. He was just, like, sending range and infantry, and he wasn't really putting a whole lot of thought into it. And I just thought, okay, sure. So I'll go ahead and take him. And then I saw the burn, and I thought, oh, shoot, he probably sent range in that last march. But I'm like, I'm okay. I'll give him a smiley. And then I'll worry about the report later. Because again, it's no big deal, right? Because chances are I probably got a big balloon bill there, but it's not as bad. Now, like, here, to give you an idea of kind of like what he was sending, all right, eventually this is what he starts sending. He starts sending even mixed marches with his leader in there, and I'm like, oh, I know what you're trying to do there. And I thought, okay, maybe I'll get him this time, and I went ahead and I tried it. I got 77k, so it's not like super painful, but at the same time, you can kind of see why he's doing it that way. He mixes it up so much, and he gets away with it like a couple of times. But again, I didn't really shy away from doing this a couple of times to him. So as you can tell, like, I did get quite a few marches off him. It's not like he didn't get out of that unscathed. Like, that did hurt quite a bit, but he kept going. So he eventually started sending destroyers, because he thought, I'll just send destroyers when he's sending a garrison, because I can see when he's sending a march. And I'm like, oh, I don't think so. I can outsmart you at this, because I know exactly what you're trying to do. So what I did is I actually, instead of sending a garrison, what I did is I pulled my garrison, and I would pretend to send a garrison by sending a reinforcement. Now, what this did was create a situation where eventually one of his friends poured it in, and I was like, okay, I'm just going to go ahead and take that. But the main thing is, right, is that, again, I'm just going back and back and back. I'm like, yeah, okay, if they're willing, hey, I'm more than happy to keep going. So here you can see I've got one garrison coming back, one reinforcement going out. Now, what he thinks is, oh, it's it's a easy peasy thing, and what he doesn't realize is that was a reinforcement I pulled, and not the garrison. You can see that. Yeah, that didn't work out so well. He ended up actually hurting himself again. Now, again, I haven't capped his leader. I tried, but at this point, we're at 98 million points. All right, so at this point, I'm like almost at 100 mil. I'm like really pumped. At this point, it's a matter of time before things are finally coming to a wrap. But even then, this guy here is like close to 2 billion might. Like this guy is 1.8 billion. He's big. This is the kind of person that, like, if you get them on your bad side, these are the guys that you got to be kind of weary of. You know that if they're gonna hit, they're gonna hit, and they're gonna hit really hard. Like they aren't messing around. Like they're gonna be popping as many familiar boosts as possible. And if you mess up and you get a mess up garrison, like you eat it in range when you're in cap, that is the kind of thing where you're gonna get capped or you're gonna get hurt, and you're gonna get hurt bad. So what I did is I went ahead and I basically posted my chords in my guild chat, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically help out my girlfriend, one princess. I'm going to help her get her solo war done, because fact of the matter is, even if you're super, super big, I know I can probably trap you with the same principle in mind. And this goes for literally anybody, because she's running with some okay calf gear, and she's been playing the game mostly free to play for a very long time. And all she had to do was send Calvary, and I apologize for that phone line. But having that said, all right, so here we sent 2 garrisons at the same time. This is partially my bad, because I didn't realize that what was going to happen was my march was going to come in first. So for the first hit, I went ahead and I thought, okay, hey, leader, boom, I'll take that, no problem. Didn't think of really too much about which part was going to get there first. But I figured, okay, it's a leader, might as well try it. Well, here's the catch. So here you can see that I thought, okay, I got his leader. But wait a minute, something's not right here. I'm looking at it like, wait a minute. Something's wrong. I know it. I'm looking, and I'm like, okay, he's got 100,000 dead. I'm at 110 million points now. I'm like, okay, that's reasonable. Truth of the matter is, he got his leader away, and he basically ended up fleeing. But here, I basically helped one princess get TSR Zhang. So, without a whole lot of trouble. So here you can see she basically sent, just like I've been telling you guys, a 375k march of cavalry against basically all infantry. And as you can see, there's 43,000 dead there and 150k wounds. But just like that, in 2 marches, you can finish your solo war pretty easy. Like, it's a no laughing matter for a lot of people. But as you can tell, like, after the second march, that's where you really start to notice the dead. Like, there's another 63,000 dead. But needless to say, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.